Hello everyone, we are back here taking a look at a hero that we just used in a solo gameplay video. If you haven't seen that, you absolutely should. You get to see She-Hulk aggression in her glory, all of her glory I would say. And what we want to do in this video is talk about why we chose to pair She-Hulk with the aggression aspect. Now there are strengths with pairing any hero with any aspect, and the strategy guide that we're including in the core set is doing a breakdown of every hero with every aspect. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that aggression is the best, but of the aspects in the core set, we were kind of picking the one that we liked most for each hero. And so when we were divvying out aspects, it was like, I think She-Hulk with aggression makes the most sense, given where all the other heroes are landing.
I was surprised when we were going, so we basically sat down one day and we went through every hero and then considered each aspect with them. Like we talked about all the hero cards, which is what we'll do. We're the same process here. And I was surprised at how often I felt like every hero had unique interactions with the various aspects cards.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to see that because I think that adds a lot to the just playability of this game and the replayability. So I'm excited to break this down. And like you said, this is a kind of a preview of what we'll be including with the strategy guide for anybody that orders the core set from us. Currently pre-orders it from us.
And this is probably one of the strengths of the signature card pool is that, like you said, as we're looking through it, it's not, I mean, you say, oh, She-Hulk aggression, of course. But it's not, of course. There's a lot of different options that you can use for She-Hulk, and like Spider-Man, we thought might immediately be kind of like, maybe aggression is good. And then it's like, I don't know, Iron Man on Justice? It's like, I don't know. But a lot of these things work out just because there's different cards that are synergizing in different ways. And any aspect really is going to see some synergies with your signature card pool, which I think is a really strong way to do it. So let's talk about She-Hulk first of all. We did a quick unboxing at Gen Con, kind of when we first got our eyes on the card and did a quick kind of...
I feel like I know so much more since then.
So much more. So the Jennifer Walters side of She-Hulk, let's just start with the alter ego because that's what you're going to look at. 5 recovery with a 15 hit point side is tough. I mean, that's extremely tough. So most hit points in the game that we've seen in the core set, I think Iron Man with the suit might be at 16. I can't remember. I think it's less. I think it's 13.
I think he's...
We can look it up.
Yeah,
and find it.
But like, so Spider-Man's 10.
Yeah.
For context, and I think Black Panther's like 12 or 13.
Black Panther's 11. Hold on, I've got him over here. May as well just look. I just look at.
15 is the biggest. That's what's worth pointing out, and even recover 5. So Spider-Man's is 10 health with 3 recover.
Yeah, Spider-Man's kind of like. You got to avoid stuff with Spider-Man.
Someone over there says fully suited Iron Man.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, that's where that. Black Panther's at 11. Give you an example there. Iron Man's 9 before you suit up.
What's Black Panther's recover?
I think he's a 4. Yeah, he's 11 with a 4.
Cool.
So 15 with a 5 is just big. So you're going to be taking hits. You're going to be able to take damage. The thing that I like the most about the She-Hulk, particularly the Jennifer Walters She-Hulk synergy, is you really get a lot of benefit out of flipping from alter ego to your hero form, and you even have a card in your card pool, split personality, that does it automatically. So Jennifer Walters' ability, a passive, prevent one threat that would be added to a scheme, there's never really a framework where that doesn't become useful by the time you get back around and maybe flipping into hero mode, right? Like pretty much, even at the start of the framework for the enemy phase, you add a threat. So if you end your turn in Jennifer Walters mode, you're going to get that benefit.
Which is super good.
Which is unlike, you know, Black Panther's got a setup ability that's only sometimes worthwhile. Peter Parker's got that resource ability. So you kind of have to then put your next turn into playing cards before you flip. So I just like that there's a lot of flexibility. You always get your Jennifer Walters ability whenever the enemy phase shows up. And then you have the freedom to flip however you choose whenever it's time for that.
Speaking of that, when you do
2 direct damage, I mean, you don't need to have been playing games for very long to know that anything that says do 2 damage without any attacks, without any conditions, is really impressive. And what this looks like is She-Hulk can always give you a 5 damage turn, no matter what's going on. So as long as you can flip over and attack for 3, I mean, that just singular potential is big. 5 damage in this game is nothing to scoff at. Like an uppercut costs 3, so that's almost 3 resources you get for free, which is incredible, right?
That's how she plays,
Yeah, and then you've got a big 3 attack, like we said. 2 defense is respectable, 1 thwart. Obviously, you're going to be flipping into She-Hulk to attack and fight. That thwart value is not generally going to come into play. But when you flip back over to lawyer mode, then you get your objection ability and you get some good threat reduction cards in the signature pool that we look at next. So I was surprised I thought She-Hulk would be the kind of character that comes out and just punches everything and is like one-sided.
Yeah.
But that lawyer side is incredibly versatile and really gives you you can play both styles, which is really nice. Okay, so let's talk about her card pool in particular. So starting with the ally, we have Hellcat. Hellcat's a 3-cost ally. I like this ally because her thwart value is so low. This is it's rare to find those good 2 thwart allies, especially with 3 health.
Yep.
So you get 4 threat off the board, and then the good thing about Hellcat is you can either bounce to play again, so you can get multiple uses out of Hellcat for the rest of the game, essentially. Or if you need a wild resource, I mean, bounce it, get use out of it. If you think of it like a wild resource in your hand that does 4 threat reduction, that's incredible.
Yeah, right? I mean, if you reduce 4 threat and then go into that next turn, get to bounce her and use her back so 2 resources for 4 threat, that's really good value. And that's what we started realizing doing the math on how much does a damage cost and how much does a removal of threat cost. And removing threat seems to cost a little bit more than doing damage.
It's almost a 1-for-1. Like damage is one resource for 2 and threat is 1-for-1. Yeah.
So when you're paying 2 for 4,
it's good.
It's pretty good.
It's real good. On the hand size front too, She-Hulk with 4 hand size, Hellcat makes that way more tolerable.
Sure.
Where you essentially have your 5th card on the board that can always act as a resource. So like in your case, in the solo game, you couldn't find that one resource to play a Gamma Slam.
Yep.
You also died. But if you had the potential to do it, Hellcat is one way that you can get that 5th card so the Gamma Slam is on the table. Yeah. So very good there. I think probably if we're talking about signature cards, let's look at 1-2 Punch.
Great card.
Only card in the core set that can stand as a hero in the signature card pool. So very good at multiple attacks. This is one of the key things that She-Hulk's doing.
I think the only other card that stands a hero in the core set is Tenacity, which is a neutral card that costs 2, and you have to spend a physical resource to use it.
Yes.
And you discard it, so it ends up costing 3 with a particular kind of resource. This costs 1.
Yeah.
And it's attack, ready, go again.
It's pretty insane. And what that looks like is, we said 1 for 2 is the normal damage spread. 1 for 3 with She-Hulk's attack, and then you can stack static abilities, and that's where we start to look at the aggression card pool. So that's where we really found that the synergy of combat training with 1-2 Punch is a very notable synergy. A very notable synergy for She-Hulk.
Because she has also, if you want to go ahead and go there, Superhuman Strength, which is a 2-cost card plus 2 attack, and after she does that attack, she stuns the enemy and readies, but she has to discard this. But if you have the combat training on, and then you get an extra attack from Superhuman Strength, and then an extra attack from 1-2 Punch.
Big deals.
Very quickly, you're paying very little for continually buffing these attacks.
Yeah, because she makes so many attacks during a game, it really allows you to get the value out of combat training, especially if you get it early.
Yeah.
That's a big play for her. So this is kind of the combat side of She-Hulk for sure.
I think it's worth mentioning, all these, each of the aspects comes with an upgrade that is max 1 per player, that costs 1 or 2, and that boosts a stat. So in this case too, we just got through playing a handful of solo games using She-Hulk, this deck exactly. But this is the kind of thing where one of my favorite parts of this game is the way the cooperative nature plays out. Where, as an example, if maybe I have an aggression deck and I'm not She-Hulk, I'm playing solo mode or I'm playing with other friends, but it's like understanding in a game, if I draw this card, my team's going to get the most value out of this if I play it on She-Hulk. I think it's super cool. Because even if you end up not going aggression with She-Hulk, if someone on your team is, I think she's currently the hero that it needs to go on.
Absolutely. Definitely the best choice. Then we get into some of the more control-y stuff. So another hero action. So while you're in She-Hulk mode, Ground Stop is just a straight-up 2-cost event, deal 1 damage to each enemy. Now, we've seen a lot of 1 health minions that come out. We've seen in Ultron the drones that come out.
1/1 drones. That's just an incredible card.
So that's where we start looking at things like Chase Them Down, I think, which is a really nice synergy with some things like Ground Stomp. So it says, after a hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. I don't know if this is an attack. It's not an attack.
It says hero action.
So I will take that completely back because
Step it back.
It's one of those synergies that you wish would work but didn't. But so this is just going to act as a general control. And you know, a lot of characters have this, just like some way of doing damage to multiple enemies or doing one to the board or whatever it is. So that's a fine thing. Like Hulk does the same thing too.
Anytime you have an AoE like that, if you run into scenarios where you're fighting a ton of enemies, then that card gets really valuable, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier.
Good to have that option.
How much you're paying for damage. And so, like, if there's 6 or 7 enemies out and you can pay 2d7, like, that very quickly is
good.
A super powerful card.
That's really good. And then I think if we want to look at, I guess, the utility side, we're looking at Focused Rage, which is exhaust, take a damage, draw a card. This is incredibly good if you find, like, you found yourself in situations where you wanted to stay in hero mode. Focused Rage is out, or Avengers Mansion is out, a neutral card that we'll get to in a second. That's a really good way to continue to get cards even though your hand size is 4.
Yeah.
So that's extremely helpful. It also sets up the super move, which is the game ender for She-Hulk, which is Gamma Slam. This is incredible.
Yeah.
It's got to be the most damage that we've seen on a card, because Captain Marvel does 10 max with her energy thing.
I think this is the max that we've seen.
15 is nuts.
You can do them to a maximum of 15, so technically if you have ways of getting health, she could have more on this. But it's pay 4, it counts as an attack, you deal X damage, X equals to the damage you've sustained, which is the damage on your card. So even at like 10, like when you get a pay 4 for 10,
Unbelievable.
that's significant.
Yeah, and all at once too, and that's a really big deal. So here's the important thing too with Gamma Slam. As you noted, your hand size is 4, you have a 4-cost card in your hand. And if you don't have a double resource,
Can't play it.
It's a problem.
You have to either have Focused Rage out, or Avengers Mansion, or the Helicarrier.
That's ultimately why I like both Avengers Mansion and Helicarrier in this deck.
Well, and I think, you know,
Helicarrier also adds another physical resource, which is nice.
We joked about it on a stream a while back, but about the idea of ramping. And I think that ramping is an important concept in any game where there's resources, the ability to build a board and like keep making it stronger. So that's where, like, I think Avengers Mansion and Helicarrier are probably one-ofs in most decks at least.
Yeah.
Each player can only play one. So how full you want your deck to be of that card, I don't know.
I'd consider at least 2 Helicarriers and She-Hulk just for the physical resource for Hulk.
Sure.
And for Chase Them Down, I think it's what's the Relentless Assault? So if you pay for it with a physical resource, you get overkill on your minion damage. So I might even do 3 Helicarriers. I might go there.
Well, and it only costs 3, so it's a lot easier to get into play in the first place. But yeah, these cards that let you build the board, I think, are super important for setting up Gamma Slam, just like we've been talking about, where you really need to have some form. And she has options. She has Hellcat, she has Focused Rage, potentially Helicarrier, and Avengers Mansion to be able to do that. But I found myself, if I had survived a turn, where
you would have been there.
I could have won the game had I had any of those cards out. I just didn't have them in play. So maybe you should include extra of them in.
So then let's go to, so that's basically, you know, there's a lot of hero fighting style cards, right? It's She-Hulk. You would expect, I'm going to get into She-Hulk mode and I'm going to destroy some stuff. But we also have these clever lawyer cards, basically, Superhuman Law Division and Legal Practice. So Superhuman Law Division, 1-cost support. I really like this simply because it's a 1-for-2 on threat, which is one of the best deals in this game, turn after turn.
Well, technically, the first turn you play it, it's 2-for-2.
Technically.
Because you have to pay to play it.
But that's normal.
Then you have to use a mental. But then it gets really efficient after that.
Yeah, after that, you're good. And like mental resources are fine in her pool. I think she's got like 5 of them.
Yep.
And then the aggression pool brings in like 4 or 5. So you should be able to see one every time. But being able to essentially exhaust, use that, and then flip over to hero mode, do 2 damage, I mean, it's really, really good. This is a great deal.
Yeah.
This is also where you could play like a Justice She-Hulk and say, hey, I've got threat unlocked. Don't worry about it. Meantime, you got Legal Practice. This is a card that is conditionally great. 0 cost, and basically you're just discarding cards. You can do up to 5 to remove 5 threat.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
4 cards for 4 threat, 3 cards for 3 threat.
That's not a common, I mean, that's not, most heroes don't have access to that kind of a tool. So the ability just to not randomly, but like on a given turn, remove 5, I think is super significant.
We don't see a lot of like boosty removal of threat, like where you can do 5 at once. Like it's like do 1 here, do 2 here, do 1 there. So this is kind of I'm the hero of this turn. where it's like we're going to flip or lose the game right now, and I'm coming in with my legal practice and getting us back to a manageable turn. The reason I really like this card is because of split personality. So if we look at split personality, the strongest turns for She-Hulk in this game for me are when I start as the alter ego, and then I flip over. I start at alter ego, I play some cards, I flip over, I do my hero actions that I want to do, and then I finish it off with a split personality. So I get my 2 damage for flipping, and then I do all my stuff, and then I flip back to Jennifer, then I draw 6 cards, and then I dump them all with legal practice.
Yeah.
That's the kind of turn where She-Hulk can both do like 5 to 10 damage and reduce the threat by like 5 to more. And that's an incredibly strong turn.
Which, I mean, I think that's a big part of, I feel like I remember one of the designers saying this, which is they want you to have those moments where you feel like a hero, where you just come in and like wreck. And I think that's one of those kind of turns, right? If you spin out for 6 to 10 damage and then flip over and remove 5 threat, like that's significant in terms of the game.
Yeah, big deal. So
Plus,
split personality,
that art's
just a
amazing.
big card.
Yeah.
It's a big card. It does a lot of great things. It's also, like legal practice is a really good way. Daily Fatigue Bar is saying this, basically a mulligan on your turn if necessary. I mean, it is in a lot of ways, like if I'm digging for that Gamma Slam, I can at least give myself maybe 1 more turn by discarding 5 cards.
Sure.
I get a fresh hand next turn, hopefully I draw in, and then I'm there. So let's look at aggression. Let's look at why aggression is the right call. I think combat training with She-Hulk, as we've said, is probably the most flagship, obvious synergy that we have to choose from.
Whether you're playing aggression or playing with someone playing aggression, if She-Hulk's in play, she's the first person to get this upgrade.
Yeah.
Just flat out.
And with that, we have to throw in tenacity, right?
Yeah. So this is a neutral card, and it's worth mentioning these neutrals as we go through, I think. We already mentioned the Helicarrier and the Avengers Mansion.
So tenacity's got to come in. And so that provides us a really strong synergy. At its best, it's a 9-card, 6 of them stand after an attack, and 3 of them are going to boost your attack. So like you can't have more than 1, so that's worth knowing, but you're getting so much value out of combat training at that point that it's amazing. And I'm reading from my notes from the strategy guide that we're putting together for core set orders. So there's that. Obviously, she works well flipping back and forth, and there's no direct synergy there, but I will say that because we have access to Uppercut, which is 3 for 5, we find ourselves in a situation with She-Hulk where of all the heroes now, not that she's the best at this, because Iron Man can burst as well, and Captain Marvel can definitely burst.
They all have their turns.
But she's got some good potential to flip and do 2, attack for 3, stand up, attack for 3, pay 3, do 5, where she can really burn down an enemy whenever it needs to happen. It's kind of those big moments of, oh my gosh, all this direct damage is happening all at once.
I think if we laid it out in terms of like what's the biggest turn she can have, it would be quite significant, right?
Yeah.
Like if you come into a turn with tenacity on, and if you can play the upgrade this +2 attack and after you attack, and if you have the 1-cost thing that lets you stand after you attack, it very quickly she gets out of control.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially because tenacity allows you to stand up straight up.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if it's like the 1-2 punch has to be a basic attack. So like if you find yourself, especially as the game moves forward, where you're doing things that are like super attacks, like for instance, do you
Gamma Slam.
sit down for Gamma Slam? You don't.
No.
So if in the future we see where like exhaust to do really cool stuff, tenacity gets better, and then combat training always giving the +1, and 1-2 punch on the basic attacks, you just have like this grindy thing that is just destroying. Chase Them Down is an incredible card.
Yeah.
I love that it gives the mental resource for superhuman law division. That's always a good thing. But then you're going to be attacking a lot with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
You're going to be defeating enemies. You can defeat enemies 1,000 different ways. And removing 2 threat from a scheme plays into the capability that you have with law division and the legal practice. And so it's just like, you're just becoming very effective at doing whatever you need to do on that board.
Yeah.
I love the adaptability of that.
And I think that's, we mentioned it before, but just the reality of every hero being capable of filling either role, which is very different than the previous cooperative games that we played, right?
Yeah.
You're the spirit player in Lord of the Rings, you quest. That is what you do. You're the investigator in Arkham, you investigate. That is what you do.
You look for clues.
Yeah.
Let's look at, I'll get to the allies here in a second. Relentless Assault. No particular synergy here, aside from the fact that She-Hulk has a good number of physical resources in her signature pools. She has 6. This needs a physical resource to gain overkill, which means that when you attack a minion, you can flip the rest of the damage onto the hero.
Yep.
So because she has those physical resources in her signature card pool, I think she can play this card very well.
Sure.
And the art on that card is immense.
And it's worth, yeah, right? Rocket. It's worth pointing out on that card, too, you have to do that damage to a minion.
Yeah.
So there has to be a minion in play to do it. And then, of course, if you spend the physical, it gets overkill. But it's definitely, like, even the card earlier does 1 to everything. All of a sudden, that 1 you did to the minion, and now you have an extra overkill that gets applied from this card.
Yeah.
So there's some things going on there.
Same thing with Hulk, too, does 1 to everything, and then you can pass that on. And then finally, Tech Team. This is kind of the... It's fine. It's a 1 for 2 over 3 turns. It's not bad. I mean, that's fine. It's the energy resource, which we really don't need in this card pool.
Yep.
So, in the future, if I'm looking for cards to cut, if I can have an instant 1 for 2 or 1 for 3 or 2 for 4, it's going to start filling the slot of Tech Team for me, especially if it's bringing a physical or a mental resource. Now, we do have to be careful with those mental resources because Hulk is in here. But you can only play to your allies so much, right? I mean, there's only 1 of them in the deck.
Yep. And he's likely to get rid of himself in some way.
Sometimes Hulk does Hulk stuff. But if at least half of your deck is physical resources, you've got a good shot.
Yep.
If you have anything that can control the top card of your deck, you've got a lot more synergy there. But Hulk, at his best, is the best ally in the game. Except maybe Hawkeye.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you ignore his text, he's going to get to go 5 times. So paying 2 for 15 damage
it's unreal.
Is good math. And then if you hit physical half of those times, let's say even twice, now you're at 2 for 19 damage. If you hit energy 2 of those times, now you're at who knows how much damage based on the enemies. And of course, if you could just avoid mental, and I think it will be possible to build a deck that basically does that minus the signature set, right? So she's got, it looks like 5 cards here on the mental train. But at 50, right, it's like, you're at a 1 in 10. It's a 90% chance to not just discard everything, which I think is super strong, right? Like I think Hulk is a great little card, well balanced, well designed, a lot of upside, and could also just go away. But even 2 for the 3 I guarantee I get.
That's fine, right?
Is okay.
Yeah. That's totally fine. And then we've got Tigra. Really a cool little ally. So basically the deal with Tigra is you can just eliminate 2-cost minions at no damage.
And she just keeps staying in play.
She just keeps staying. So after she attacks and defeats a minion, you heal 1 damage from her. Obviously with Ground Stomp, that gets a lot of help. Hulk doing 1 to everything can help get her ability to trigger, although she's going to take 1 for the pleasure. But you're working Tigra pretty well in the solo game.
Tell Hulked her.
Yeah, tell Hulked her, like we said. But a 1 and a 2, this is a pretty standard ally, and the fact that she can potentially go forever is significant. I would consider replacing her because of the mental resource. I think if I'm looking at maybe throwing in some neutrals and Nick Cage or something, it could be a better play than sticking with Tigra. But I don't think we have enough options right now to have like a real discussion about whether or not we should replace Tigra.
Yeah. Now, the thing that I would look at dropping if I really am concerned about Hulk is Chase Them Down. Yeah. I think Chase Them Down's great. If you're playing solo, I think you almost need it. But if you're playing with a teammate who's good at threat control, you're already pretty decent at it with your other cards.
Yeah, 4-player game 2 is not nearly as good as it is in a 1-player game.
Yeah.
2 threat.
Well, and then even in a 4-player game with Hulk, I don't even want the energy resource.
Yeah.
Like, because that's 1 to everybody, including my friends. So like all of a sudden, now I'm down to wilds and physical. That gets pretty restrictive. But I think in time, this is what I was going to say earlier, you will be capable of building a aggression deck with 95% not mental or even energy resource.
Almost all physical. I mean, you'll have your signature cards, and the rest of the cards you could bring in would be physical.
But surely someone's signature set is also going to have mostly not mental, right?
You would think somebody's would.
Someone's going to.
I don't know who it's going to be. It'd have to be Hulk, right?
Or like Thor.
Maybe Thor.
Like Thor Hulk would be a fun little team.
Man, that would be a fun team.
A little Ragnarok.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, essentially what we're looking at here if we're building this deck, we have to now look at the neutrals, right? So I think Avengers Mansion is good, and I think the Helicarrier is good because we just want access to the Gamma Slam when we're in hero mode.
Avengers Mansion does have the mental. So
yeah, that's true. So maybe we just go 3 Helicarriers.
Again, how much do you let...
Let's go 3 Helicarriers.
How much do you let a single Hulk build your deck
but
for you?
But also Relentless Assault.
You definitely want the physicals. I agree with that. And with tenacity.
And Helicarrier is physical, and it gets you to the magic number.
So in terms of the neutrals that are not worth mentioning, they're worth very quickly mentioning. There's basically for each energy type a 2 energy. I think most decks are going to get one of each of these. Maybe you don't run the mental in this one, but
you just can't give it up.
I just think you have to do
not
it.
Yet.
We already have tenacity we've talked about here, which I think is solid. In solo mode, I think Emergency is a way better card. 0 cost. When you put a threat on, you can, or when the villain schemes, you can cancel 1.
Great with Jennifer. I mean, it's like -1 for Jennifer's thing, and then you're in alter ego mode, and then -1 to
again.
In solo, it's great. I think when you get to two players, it's still okay. When you get to 3 and 4, unless you need the energy resource, I would cut it.
Yeah, I would definitely cut it. And then we get to the rest of the neutral cards.
The real question is, do you include Haymaker or not?
It's on the line. I mean, 2 for 3, right?
Is that too much direct damage?
I don't think there's such a
2 for 3, 3 for 5, and then flip for 5?
I think it all depends on how many... It's cool. The different player modes really are giving me some perspective. It depends on how many players. I think at 2 players, you probably put it in. At 3 players, I don't think so anymore. Like, to me, 3 or 4 players is you can build a little bit more, right? You have to scale up. And you're looking for the big moments.
Yeah.
When you're in 1 or 2 player mode, you kind of got to be scrappier, right? You don't have as much time to just build.
It's almost like draft. It's kind of a limited format in a lot of ways. I mean, it's obviously limited for very obvious reasons, but it does feel like you have to like play some cards that you wouldn't normally play.
Yeah.
Like Emergency is a great example of that, where solo really brings that out as like a key card. And then when a 4-player game, it's like, this is nothing.
Yeah, there's too much threat happening. And there's too many players that are likely going to be able to way more efficiently remove the threat than just a card like that.
So give me your final call. Are you going 1 Avengers Mansion? 2?
I think I would go 1 in this deck, and I would happily go 3 Helicarriers.
You would go 3?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it's the physical, and you need to get that resource. Again, it depends on the player count, right? I think in a higher count game, you have to get that going, and you have to look for these big turns where you can... slam around here.
And I want to mention, it's worth talking about, especially in terms of Helicarrier. Your 4-cost Gamma Slam, your 3-cost Split Personality. As I remember, and I'm about to look it up, I think this is one of the more expensive card pools.
Absolutely is.
With 2 of the 3 cost. I think Leadership is a little more because of the allies.
Yeah.
But you're looking at 6 3-cost cards here. So having a Helicarrier out, or an Avengers Mansion, but Helicarrier is more effective as a resource because it's 3 versus 4. Is better. So I would go 3. I'm with you on 3.
Yeah.
I'll do that. So this is She-Hulk Aggression. This is kind of where we have landed on if we were opening a core set and we were saying choose what hero you wanted to play with 4 people around the table, we would go ahead and say, if you want to play She-Hulk, let's pair that with Aggression. And then next up, we're doing Black Panther with Leadership because that's a similar call for us. Is like if you're going to pair those aspects right out of the core set and you want a really effective team, I think Black Panther Leadership is equally as strong.
And if you want those big, exciting plays, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be doing in the next video, and then we'll be doing the other pairings for their heroes in future weeks. Were there any other neutrals worth mentioning for She-Hulk?
You know, I mean...
I didn't include them.
You can always talk about Nick Fury.
I didn't include him because he's just expensive in an already expensive card pool for me.
I mean... Nick Fury is going to be one of the lightning rods of the player community. Like, whether or not it's good, like whether or not you play it.
Out of Leadership, he's great.
Yeah.
I think the value you can get out of his...
Just like playing it again.
Yeah, or like...
You can really shuffle through your deck, too.
Being able to play it from discard pile, or the cards that let you go twice with an ally, all of a sudden, now you're getting a whole lot of value out of him.
But, I mean, you're paying 4 for 6 damage off the bat, or you're paying 4 for 4 threat. So that's about normal.
Yep. Plus, he could like block after doing all that, right? So soaking an attack as well. There's some value there.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. So Nick, not particularly exciting for this deck. I don't think it needs it.
I just, especially because on She-Hulk's side, you only draw 4 cards. So like, he's a whole hand worth.
I'd play a Mockingbird.
I had a Mockingbird in.
Yeah, so you got the physical resource, which is good. I think stunning an enemy on play is incredible. If you have a leadership player at the table, being able to play it out of a discard pile is killer. So I do like Mockingbird in this deck.
Also, Nick Fury is mental.
Because you can only do one of. Yeah, it is mental. So yeah, definitely not. No Nick. And that's it. I mean, that's the rest. We covered the rest of them. So
all right.
I like the idea of Haymaker in the lower player. 1 and 2 player, I'd run the Haymaker, otherwise not. And that makes a lot of sense.
It's just more valuable, right?
Yeah.
So like 3 damage on the 20, 30 health of a villain is way different than on a 60 health villain. Like,
yeah.
It's just the value of the card there. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good look. And like we said up front, we're doing a PDF strategy guide we're going to be sending to everyone that pre-orders the core set from us. And this is kind of the kind of content we're going to be doing. We're going to look at each hero, each aspect, each combination, provide a deck list for each of those. So when you get that and you get the core set, you can kind of build decks, have some basic advice to start with, and dive right in.
As an example, She-Hulk Justice is super fun because it got that great responsibility card that soaks threat as damage, and
Which
then Gamma
is really
slams
good
it
with
out.
Gamma Slam.
I mean, it's killer.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's look at the bad things that She-Hulk's bringing to the table, because some of these Nemesis are worse than others. She-Hulk is particularly problematic.
So
can be really bad.
This typically comes out, there's a card that basically your Nemesis comes out and engages you, and their side scheme comes into play, and then the rest of those cards get shuffled into the deck.
So let's look at Titania. I think it's probably Titania. I think a lot of people think it's like titanium. I am titanium.
I feel like it's like she's a Titan.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's been said in movies and stuff, hasn't it? You're the movie guy.
She's not in the movies.
Uh-huh.
She-Hulk hasn't. She'll probably be in the show.
Oh, she'll be in the show, and then we'll know.
Then we'll know definitively.
Okay, so let's look at this. This is probably the hardest hitting of the minions, really, that I've seen. So she comes out and does damage equal to remaining health.
Okay, she has 6 starting health.
And so it starts out as a 6 damage attack,
That's a
which
lot.
is like killing Spider-Man, right? I mean, basically, it's a complete destruction. But luckily, we have 15 hit points with She-Hulk. Now, here's the crazy thing, though. So she has 2 cards that are Titania's Fury. When revealed, she attacks your hero. If she doesn't attack, probably because you're in alter ego mode, she heals fully, and then that card gains Surge.
So if you're in alter ego and this card flips, she heals and you get another card.
Yep.
If you're in your hero mode, she just immediately attacks you.
Attacks you and potentially does 6 damage.
And worth pointing out, this adds a damage and the boost special ability if it turns out to be a boost card.
Yeah, and it gives the villain 1 additional boost card for the activation.
Wow, so it's +1 and then another card.
Ugh. Nuts.
And to be clear too, the when revealed only triggers if it's one of the encounter cards being dealt to you, not if it's turning as a boost. So it's either or of those abilities.
Now, here's where it gets good. Genetically enhanced. Attached to the minion, usually it's going to be Titania, but it might not be. With the highest printed hit points, if there are no minions, it gains Surge.
Okay.
Minion gets +3 hit points. Imagine that going on like MODOK or something.
11.
It's 11, but on Titania, it's nuts because now she's swinging for 9 if she's unhealed or undamaged.
And a lot of times, right, so she only has a 1 scheme. So like in my solo game, it was very tempting for me just to leave her alone because 6 is a lot to soak into anything but the villain.
That's more than most villains are going to be attacking for
So
easily.
A lot of times it's like, well, I'm going to stay in alter ego mode and just take 1 scheme. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, +3. And it's like, well, now I have a real problem.
Yeah.
Because I need to flip over to attack, but then she's going to hit me for 9?
Yeah, it's tough. And do you really want to waste 9 damage
No,
on getting rid
never.
of this?
It's really
this
miserable.
minion?
They did a good job of that. And it's cool too, right? Because like, if this was paired against Spider-Man, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the only person this comes out and immediately engages is She-Hulk.
Yep.
So you know, it's like she should be capable of like handling this in one way or another.
Yeah.
I think it's just very clever. It's a really great way of doing it.
And it's just, you're just getting beat up. I mean, and if you stay out of hero mode, it's like she can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's great.
Just to cover our bases here, the obligation is legal work. When this is revealed from the deck, it gets put in the counter deck.
Yeah, it's like all the others, right?
Yeah, you just hand it to the player, and then you can flip to alter ego mode to go handle your business. And then you can either exhaust your character and remove it from the game, or give the main scheme an acceleration token and discard this obligation.
Now, I will say this. Of all the heroes, obligations for She-Hulk are a huge benefit, because basically what this allows you to do is flip down back to your alter ego mode, which then allows you on the next turn to immediately flip back up to do 2 damage instantly.
Even before that, if anything increases the threat, it also lets you trigger the
during
object
that. It's
button.
good. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, pretty much when legal work flips, I will always take the opportunity to go to alter ego.
If you're in She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah. Because it's just, it's basically, hey, do you want 2 free damage next turn?
Yeah, but she's also the hardest one, I think, because she's so heavy hitting to like exhaust.
Oh, yeah. It's so hard.
So like it's real, and if you don't exhaust, and that's what like again, it's different a 1 versus a 3 or 4 player game. In a 3 or 4 player game, you're going to go through the encounter deck way faster.
Yeah.
So leaving this in the deck is a lot harder to do when you're in a 4 player game versus a 1 player game. It's like, well, I'm probably not even going to see this again.
Yeah, right. It's just going to get shuffled.
It's going to be a long way away.
So that's She-Hulk. Thank you guys so much for watching. So we've got the core sets available for order on our website. We do have a website, and we handle orders, and we run all of our business like we do these videos with great care and quality. So that's kind of what we got in here to do. We've been doing this for 12 years now.
Approaching 13.
Crazy?
Yep.
Oh, that's nuts. So we've got those core sets with a strategy guide. They're 20% off. And we have a limited number of those. We're kind of close.
We're getting there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that, everyone that's pre-ordered from us. It's really what allows us to do everything we do, including these videos. So.
And if you like this style of video, that's what we're writing in the strategy guide for all the different aspects, all the heroes. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you. And then if you want to get all the future expansions, releases, etc., you can kind of tailor the types of products that you want to automatically receive. We came into the space whenever LCGs first started, and we recognized one of the immediate kind of annoyance points for all of our customers and even us as players at the time. We're like, I've got to, it's like, oh, a pack's coming out this week. Oh, I didn't know. It's like, but everyone's using it already. So we thought it'd be really handy to automatically get all of these products when they're releasing on a pretty consistent basis. Like collectible games, 3 to 4 times a year is like, it's probably manageable. But you got a monthly release, it's kind of hard to keep up with. So you can sign up to automatically receive the hero packs and or scenario packs and or campaign expansions if you want those automatically. And they arrive almost 100% of the time on release day in the United States. And it helps us do this, which is what we ultimately love to do. So catch us on the next video. We're going to do Black Panther leadership for the live stream crew who are watching this right now rather than later on in YouTube. We're going to go off air for just a second, and then we'll come back in with Black Panther. And we hope to see you there. Appreciate it. Take care.